On the big India-China Ladakh standoff story here on India Today, you've come to expect nothing but the wisest and most incisive voices. Yesterday I brought you two northern commanders, and today I have the honor to tell you that two former army chiefs will be live and exclusive here with me on 5 Live. You will hear their comments just hours before that big Lieutenant General level meet between India and China takes place in Ladakh. General Malik and General Singh, a privilege and an honor to have the both of you on my show. I will be coming to you in just a moment. Before that, I want to bring my viewers up to speed on precisely what's happening on the ground before those talks. As top military commanders of India and China are all set to sit across the table on Saturday, that's tomorrow, the big question is, will this month-long border standoff end? Here's an inside track on what we know about those talks before they happen tomorrow. Just hours from now, history will be made here. This is the India-China border in Ladakh's Chushul. And it is here that for the first time ever, two lieutenant generals from India and China, holding the second highest rank in the two armies, will meet. Their meeting will be the senior-most engagement during a border standoff of this kind. The two lieutenant generals will be meeting less than 20 kilometers from the biggest standoff point, the banks of the Pangong Tso. The meeting site on the Chinese side has seen cheerful border meetings between the two sides in the past. But on Saturday, the atmosphere will be justifiably grim. Embellished with violent brawls early in May, the world's two largest armies have stood face to face at 4 standoff points north of Chushul. While India's Leh Corps commander Lieutenant General Harinder Singh represents India, a Chinese Lieutenant General from Tibet will appear for the other side. Both will be joined by brigadier rank area commanders and will jump straight into a discussion on the standoff. On India Today, two former Northern Army commanders have spoken out on what to expect.
When you have intrusions of this kind and you have two armies facing off each other and one feels that you have intruded in our area, I think at the ground level, any give is very difficult.
Yeah.
And that is why I'm saying, well, they can set the stage for something to go forward.
Yeah.
My sense, and I hope I'm proved wrong, Shiv, my sense is that politically and diplomatically is where the matter will probably get sorted.
I think what China may be aiming also at the higher level, that have a permanent solution to this boundary question. They may subsequently at MEA level. So these are the start points which are there.
Ahead of the talks, intelligence agencies have provided the Modi government with a detailed dossier on the situation, including a damning description of China's mobilization in different sectors. The report talks about how the Chinese army was able to rapidly deploy its forces along with heavy weaponry along the line of actual control in an effort to change the status quo. With both sides mobilizing and China believed to have flexed muscle very aggressively, the question is, who will be speaking from a position of strength on Saturday, China or India? With Ashraf Wani in Ladakh, Bureau Report, India Today. And we've made it clear in that report, but I just want to, revive it so our viewers know exactly where this is happening. I know my viewers are discerning viewers and need to know precisely where this border meeting is taking place compared to where the standoff area is. Take a look at the map on your screen and it will put everything perfectly in context. That's Ladakh. You can see where the standoff areas are. And if we zoom in, you'll see the Pangong Lake, where on finger 4, one of the standoff points is located on the northern banks of the Pangong Lake, and the border patrol meeting will be taking place in Chushul, which is just about 20 kilometers from the standoff point. Okay, I want to go across straight now to General VP Malik and General Bikram Singh, both former chiefs of the army staff. General Malik, to you first, sir. I'm going to come to the big picture as far as the imperative and the need for India and China to to look at this as a situation where the border needs to be delineated in urgency, or else, skirmishes of this kind are going to continue indefinitely. But I want to ask you more immediately, sir, as a former Chief of Army Staff and a war general, might I add, what are you expecting, General Malik, from tomorrow's unprecedented Lieutenant General level talks between both sides in Chushul?
Shiv, although this is the first time that two lieutenant generals from either side will be meeting each other, I don't think at that rank people have met on the ground till now. But we have to remember that the army on the ground has got a very limited say as far as territory is concerned. And we have to stick to the territory that belongs to us. We have to talk about that. Army is not in a position to concede any territorial concession to the other side. So I do not know how much progress can be made. Anything to do with territorial progress will go back to either the diplomats or the political things. But they can have some harmony, they can exchange some good notes with each other, and that perhaps will also create conducive atmosphere for give and take, if there is going to be any at the political level or at the diplomatic level.
General Malik, are you saying that nobody should expect any, spectacular breakthrough? As civilians, as lay viewers, the way it has been portrayed is, many levels of meetings have happened so far, and now you've got two wise lieutenant generals who are going to be holding this meeting. Is there going to be some big takeaway at the end of it, sir?
Look, both at Galwan as well as in the area of the Eight Fingers, the fact is that the Chinese have crossed the line of control in one case, in Galwan case, and in the other case, they have come and occupied the area which is so-called disputed, because it is between the two perceptions of the line of actual control. So when they have come and occupied a particular position in strength, as far as the army is concerned, it cannot give away that area which has now been occupied. It has to ask for vacation of that area by the Chinese, and if they do not agree to that, there is nothing much that the army can do except to again throw the ball into the court, or throw the ball into the court of the diplomats and the politicians.
Okay, so clearing the decks for the diplomats and the politicians could be one way to look at what to expect from this. General Bikram Singh, is there any other end game that India is looking at as it heads into these talks, rather than a pre-May 2020 scenario? Basically returning to the pre-May 2020 status quo. Is that the aim of tomorrow's talks, sir, in your view?
Yeah, look, Shiv, firstly, thanks for having me over in your
Always
show.
A pleasure, sir.
The first question that you asked, I just want to clarify, build on what General Malik has said. He is very, clearly brought it out. But there are two facets to it. One is the border dispute, which is being dealt with at the political level.
Yes.
And that, the NSA, that level meeting takes place every year. And then you also have, one mechanism which came up after Rajiv Gandhi's visit to China. And that is basically that for consultation and coordination. So there are mechanisms which are dealing with the border issue at that highest level, at the national level.
Yes.
We are getting down to the tactical level where this thing is going on. The very fact that, both countries have agreed to meet at Lieutenant General's level, I feel that there is perhaps a desire to resolve it at the tactical level. So therefore, while I fully agree with what General Malik said, it's a political issue. It has to be dealt with at the political level, and diplomats will get involved. But in this, I think being slightly optimist, I would say there is a possibility that it will get resolved. But along with this, what is important is when China came in for these particular face-offs and intruded into our territory, there was a purpose for which it came. Has that purpose been served? That is what China is going to be looking at.
Yeah.
Because you see, let's be very clear. Upping the ante and ensuring a dialogue at the level of Lieutenant General, China has achieved what it wanted. But the point now is, with so many things on its plate, whether it is the international, sentiment that is going against China, the investigation into the pandemic, trade war with, and there is also a growing, I would say, sentiments in China which are not conducive to the image of Xi Jinping. Now, so this particular, incident was actually engineered to assuage the sentiments of the domestic population and also to give a strategic message to India, and also indirectly to Pakistan, which is the strategic, a player, a strategic, one of their partners.
Absolutely.
So the point to say is, has China achieved what it wanted to achieve, or by doing this and prolonging this, procrastinating its resolution, is it going to be creating misery for itself when its plate is already full?
Yes.
So we have to see and wait and watch. But yes, I'm being an optimist. We should hope for the best tomorrow.
Okay, we should hope for the best. I have some breaking news, but before I go to that news, I want to bring in General Malik as well. General Malik, in an interview, you can add to that. I just wanted to ask you one small question, sir. You said in an interview today that it seems that both sides are not really interested in any escalation beyond what has happened so far. Does that mean that when the two lieutenant generals meet tomorrow, sir, they will exchange data, information, maps, even though there is so much that remains ambiguous, that could pull the two armies back? Is that a possibility, sir?
Yeah, that the maps could be shown to each other. But please remember that even at the political or diplomatic level, China has never accepted our perception of the line of actual control. But the point here is that will China or PLA accept status quo pre-2020?
Yeah.
Will they go back to the position which were held by them in April? So that is the crux of the problem.
Yeah.
And if they do not go, because now they have brought in larger forces.
Yes.
So our objective has to be, as far as the military is concerned, that please go back to your original position. There is no halfway that we can give them any concession.
Okay, so no concessions. Very important. What you said is very sharp. It has to be pre-May 2020 positions or nothing at all. Anything less than pre-May 2020 positions is going to be basically a compromise which India cannot accept. Generals, stay with me. I've got a quick update coming in from Gaurav Sawant, and I'm coming right back to you on this. This is the breaking information that we're getting right now, where China says China has just issued a statement saying that it is committed to properly resolving the border standoff with India ahead of these key military talks. The Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson has said that at the moment the situation in the boundary region between India and China is overall stable and controllable, and we are committed to a peaceful resolution. Okay, so that's the latest information that Gaurav Sawant has brought to us. General Bikram, what would you say to that? China has played mind games in the past as well. They've talked about peace, but like General Malik has just said, China has been mobilizing in a big way as well, which has its own message. What do you make of China saying we are committed to a peaceful resolution before tomorrow's talks? General Singh.
You see, Shiv, the build-up was a military posturing, which commanders take on at the tactical, operational level. They don't go to the strategic level. It is basically at the tactical and operational level. The posturing of both sides takes place. We have done it. They have also done it. That is one. So let's not read too much into it. Second thing I want to bring out is that yesterday, Rahul Kamal on your TV channel covered very beautifully the dispute. So I failed to understand, falling back, what are you talking about? There is, the perception of the line of actual control.
Yes.
And trust me, this has been going on for a very long time. You ask the people, the commanding officer who was there yesterday, he told you very well that, our patrols go up to finger 8, they come up to finger 4, and this has been going on.
Yeah.
So they will revert to status quo ante with this regard, and it will continue. The other thing, which has come from their, Ministry of External Affairs from China, I think we should not actually just brush it aside thinking as a strategic kind of a deception. No, I think it's well-meaning. Like I told you earlier, I suppose China would not like to go ahead on this because its plate is already full. With all these kind of sentiments that are growing in the regional, in the domestic, in the international arena against China and their leadership, I suppose it's time to call it off. And perhaps, and plus we have to understand, as at the strategic level, there is enough space in the regional and the global context for both the Asian giants to grow simultaneously.
Yes.
So I think we should be looking at ultimately. And I think that is what is going to be deciding the stance of both the countries to ensure that we resolve this amicably.
Gaurav Sawant is with us live. I want to get a quick word from him before I go to General Malik. Gaurav, a softened stand coming in from China ahead of tomorrow's talks. It's in effect an echo of what they had said last week as well, Gaurav. Committed to peaceful resolution of the standoff.
Well, China is saying it's committed to a peaceful resolution of the standoff because as both General Malik and General Vikram Singh, heroes of Kargil, have told us that China always keeps testing India's resolve and response. And the moment they see that India's resolve is resolute, which is what sources in the army also tell India today, that the army is effectively now deployed all along and in other places to ensure that China does not take advantage of any situation. So whether this is sorted out at the level of lieutenant generals, because that would mean that this was a military-to-military situation and it was sorted out at the military-to-military level. It gives a face saver to both sides, especially to China, that why are they withdrawing? If not, then it gets escalated to the level of the foreign secretaries and maybe the national security advisor. But India's defense preparedness, Shiv, from what sources tell India today, isn't just restricted to the friction points, but also on a much wider scale, so that the dragon gets the message, whether it was in Doklam in 2017 or today, that India is not going to be a pushover. While we want peace, but it has to be with mutual respect and commitment to peace and no transgressions the way they've happened in these areas, including in some places in southern Ladakh, where attempts at incursion have been on, Shiv.
Absolutely. Gaurav, thank you very much for putting that into context for us. These are things that China does to test the waters now and then. Lots of mind games are usually played at the political and diplomatic level as well. But these big talks tomorrow is what is immediately tangible as far as this standoff is concerned. General VP Malik, coming back to you, sir. Given the level of mobilization, General Malik, that we've seen from the Chinese side over the last 1 month, and this has been, validated and confirmed, not just from ground data, but also a recent report that's been submitted to the government. Given that massive mobilization, sir, do you see tomorrow's meeting laying the groundwork for a de-escalation to a pre-May 2020 scenario?
Look, the armed forces do what they are told by the politicians. Whether it is an aggressive posture or it is a defensive posture or going back. So I have a feeling that the PLA was told to go ahead and occupy these positions, which they have done both in the Fingers area as well as Galwan. And now they are probably being told to get back. Now, as far as the Indian Army is concerned, I think the minimum position that we have or we can have is that they go back to the position existing before May 2020, which means that, okay, we have each other's perception of the line of actual control in the disputed areas, and till our points we can carry out patrolling, let's say, as far as the Fingers area is concerned, right up to Finger 8. We can carry out the patrolling. And similarly, as far as Galwan Valley is concerned, along the Galwan River right up to the line of actual control. So that has to be minimum requirement as far as the Indian Army is concerned. But more than that, if the Chinese politicians are really interested, then they should permit the exchange of maps, delineated maps of these areas, so that these clashes do not occur. The frequent clashes that have been taking place on the northern bank of Pangongso River, they will not happen if both parties agree to each other's perception and they don't fight with each other as if you have come to my area and I have come into your area.
Absolutely.
So that can only be sorted out. I'm talking of a slightly longer term thing.
Yes, sir.
If the perception of each other's line of actual control is exchanged at the military level.
Absolutely. Very interesting. And I want to show you that map once again to show you where the standoff is taking place in the Finger Four area, where the standoff in Pangong is happening, and where the border meeting in Chushul-Moldo is taking place. It's just 20 kilometers southeast of that particular location where the meeting will take place. So just to give you a geographical context of where it's happening. General Bikram, there is a saying that the Chinese only respect strength. We've seen a mobilization by China relentlessly through this last 1 month. India has been mirroring that mobilization as well, of course, in Ladakh. When the meeting happens tomorrow, sir, who will be speaking from a position of strength in your view?
Look, Shiv, the very fact both countries have agreed to speak at that level, I think there has got to be a mutual understanding. At that level, at the level of Lieutenant General, a corps commander, you don't look for, such tactical kind of victories. Tactical victories are achieved by battalion commanders, brigade commanders. They have done it already. They have proven their work. They have flexed their muscles. They have, as you said, they've gone into a deployment.
Yes.
A soldier for soldier, gun for gun. They have done it. At that level, the moment you get into the operational domain, and this is, mind you, touching the strategic arena when the corps commanders get involved.
Yes.
They have the blessings of the political masters that General Malik brought out. But let me tell you, the exchange of maps, which came about twice, you asked this question.
Yes.
There was a time once Chinese by mistake had shown the maps. If you go into the history of this entire dispute, they quickly took it back. There is no question of, exchange of maps in this regard. Let's forget about it. It is going to be resolved at the NSA level. Very simple. That is one, forum which on behalf of the heads of the state, both sides meet at the political level. In fact, It's gets into the political domain, where they discuss this issue of dealing with this border dispute and coming out with a solution which is going to be mutually acceptable to both sides. So that exchange of maps will not take place. But what I feel is that when you meet like this, in these kind of meetings, the endeavor is, and mind you, this has happened at the battalion commanders level. What's going on, in the Pangang Sol Lake at the moment now. In the area of Galwan, they have fallen back, I am told already. So the point is that the battalion commander, a corps commander, should not be blurring the distinction between the tactical and the operational and strategic arena.
Yes.
Let him deal with it at his own level, with maturity, and not get swayed by usne do mukke maar diye, usne teen mukke maar diye. Aise nahi chalta hai. When you get into strategy, when you get into national interest, then you see at that level of a corps commander when he goes there with the blessings of the army commander, the chief, and also the political defense minister, then he is going to ensure that the national interests are furthered in the context of national strategy.
Absolutely.
To bring about peace and tranquility. So these minor, first kaun pale blink karta hai, wo kaun karta hai, that is at the tactical level. And I don't think he'll be discussing that.
Okay, very interesting. And I'm glad you mentioned strategy, which brings me to my last point on the big picture, General Malik. And you've also mentioned that in your interview that's appeared in the Indian Express this morning, which is that if these, disputed lines, these lines of perception are not settled once and for all, the vulnerability will continue to remain for something like this to erupt at any time, depending on what China's predilections actually are. So the imperative, perhaps, sir, more than ever before, is to sort this out as quickly as possible. Is that even possible, sir?
Look, right from the first agreement that we have at military level to have peace and tranquility along the line of actual control, that was signed in 1993. Since then, we have signed, I think, 5 agreements and protocols. The fact is, in the recent days, there have been more breaches, there have been more violations, and there have been quite frequent scuffles with each other along the line of actual control. In fact, the frequency has been increasing in the last few years. So that shows that those protocols and agreements today are no longer as valid as they used to be at one time.
Right.
And they are getting eroded.
Right.
Both sides are now developing their infrastructure, road construction activities going on. Both sides are also ensuring that their defenses are more of permanent nature. So with all that which is happening, I think that giving each other clearly what is the line of actual control wherever there is a dispute, and that also is given as to, okay, up to this place is your perception, up to this place is my perception. The frequency of such clashes and all will carry on. So therefore, in long-term solution,
yes,
I'm not talking of the border solution,
correct,
but pending border solution at the political level. I think at the military level or even at the NSA level, if required, they must clarify each other's perception of the line of actual control, and also assure each other that we will not permit any of these scuffles or any of these small clashes that occur off and on, whether it is Nakula or it is in the area of Ladakh or
yes,
anywhere else in Sikkim or Northeast. So we have to ensure that if we do not, then we will keep on pumping more and more troops. We will keep on having more and more density of troops along the line of actual control, which is not in the interest of either China or in India.
And let's hope that doesn't need to happen. Let's hope tomorrow's talks will be the first step towards a larger strategic resolution. A sobering thought there that General Malik has left us with, which is that perhaps all the mechanisms that we've had so far and that have worked so well need something else entirely. They don't seem to be working any longer. Something new is required. Let's see if tomorrow is the beginning of that something new. General VP Malik, General Bikram Singh, a privilege and an honor to have two military heroes like yourselves being on this show to give us your wisdom ahead of the very all-important talks that take place in Chushul, Ladakh tomorrow. Thank you very much, General Singh and General Malik, for joining me here on 5 Live.
Hello everyone, this is Rahul Kamal here. Hope you enjoyed this video. For the latest news and analysis, like and subscribe the India Today YouTube channel, and don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated.